Hello there, very good evening and welcome to Primetime News on TV1. On behalf of the Newsfirst, the voice of the people, I'm Martin Satyanesan. Let's start off with a look at your headlines for this evening.
President appoints members to the Port City Economic Commission. President's Council Gamini Marapana appointed as chairman. Stern action against those who breach travel restrictions. Police to limit entries to Colombo. Bail granted to Chandimal Jayasinghe and Pumi Hansamali, arrested for hosting a party during travel restrictions. CID questions Express Pearl captain once more. Was there a possibility to avoid the blaze on board the ship? Experts raise concerns.
Indian Ocean MOU. දැන් මේ කිවිසුමේ පාර්ශවයක් අපි ලංකාව. කිවිසුමේ කියනවා යම්කිසි වරායක නැවක් ඇවිල්ලා ඒ නැවට දෙන්න පුළුවන් උදව්ව දෙන්න බැරි වුණා. ඒ නැව යන ඊළඟ වරායට ඒක දැනුම් දෙන්න ඕනේ. අහන්නේ අපිට මෙච්චර දේවල් සම්බන්ධයෙන් ඉන්ෆර්මේෂන් ලැබුණ නැද්ද?
Your top story this evening, the members of the Colombo Port City Economic Commission were appointed today.
President's Council Gamini Marapana has been appointed as the chairman of the Colombo Port City Economic Commission. The other members of the commission are Finance Secretary Star Artikala, Secretary to the Ministry of Water Supply Dr. Priyat Bandhu Vikrama, former Board of Investment Chairman Saliya Vikrama Surya, Oral Corporation Chairman and Managing Director Kushan Kodituaku, Mercantile Investments and Finance Managing Director Gerard George Ondache, McLaren's Group Chairman and Managing Director Rohan De Silva.
Severe traffic congestion was reported in several areas including Colombo as police stepped up the inspection of vehicles in order to strengthen the travel restrictions that are in effect.
Police inspected vehicles at roadblocks that were set up at all entry points to Colombo this morning. Individuals without a valid travel permit were turned back to their homes as inspections were carried out on vehicles heading from Muratua towards Colombo. Vehicles were also inspected at roadblocks set up along the high-level road in Maharagama as well. Heavy traffic congestion was reported near the roadblock at the Ibangwala junction due to inspections carried out. All vehicles were inspected equally by police during the exercise. Individuals without a valid permit were ordered to return to their homes. Officers attached to the Valikada police station inspected vehicles entering Colombo through the Rajagiriya flyover. Police Special Task Force officers assisted the process. Heavy traffic was reported in Paliogada as the inspection of vehicles got underway. This was the situation in areas such as Maligavatta. Certain individuals were arrested during inspections carried out in the Mahar area in Kadavata. Motorcycles and three-wheelers were also inspected heavily at the location. Vehicles heading towards Colombo from Kalutara were inspected by the police. Motorcycles came under heavy scrutiny during inspections.
කොළඹ නගරයට ඇතුළත් කළ වාහන වලින් 3528ක් පමණ වාහන
People who had been travelling on 3,528 vehicles that had entered Colombo by claiming to be for essential purposes had produced various documents. The police had obtained random copies of such documents and are conducting investigations concerning them. It is regrettable to note that the heads of some institutions had issued general letters to their employees regardless of whether their services are required or not. If letters have been issued without a valid reason, we will have to take action against such employers or supervisors. We are requesting the heads of such institutions to issue letters only for those who are required to report to work. Don't issue general letters to all employees, even if it is an essential service industry.
සම්පූර්ණ සේවකයන් සඳහා එම සේවාව අත්‍යවශ්‍ය සේවාවක් වුවත් ලිපි නිකුත් කිරීමෙන් වළකින.
Meanwhile, actress Pumi Hansamali and makeup artist Chandimal Jasinghe were released on bail after being arrested for organising a party in violation of quarantine regulations. The duo were arrested by the Fort Police and were produced before the Colombo Magistrates Court before being released on a surety bail worth 1 million rupees each.
We have identified the names of 12 individuals who had attended the party in addition to the duo who were arrested. We will use CCTV footage to arrest the suspects. We will arrest them and produce them in court. A special police team is also taking steps to record a statement from the administration of the hotel.
සම්බන්ධයෙන් ප්‍රකාශ ලබා ගැනීමට විශේෂ පොලිස් කණ්ඩායම මේ වන විට කටයුතු කරමින් පවතිනවා.
Meanwhile, the Civil Aviation Authority has said that flights will be allowed to land in the country from midnight today. Civil Aviation Authority Chairman Upul Dharmadasa said that all passengers will be subjected to a 2-week quarantine upon arrival to the country. He noted that the suspension on travellers from India will continue to be in effect. We are not trying to allow tourists to enter the country. We closed down airports once again as the COVID-19 pandemic began to raise its head. Tourists and Sri Lankan citizens will be allowed to enter the country. There is no issue in that, but passengers from India cannot disembark in the country. Passengers with a travel history to Vietnam in the last 2 weeks will not be permitted to disembark in Sri Lanka with immediate effect. The Civil Aviation Authority said that the suspension will remain in effect until further notice. This decision has been made in the wake of a hybrid COVID-19 variant being detected in Vietnam recently. Meanwhile, Italy has extended the suspension on the arrival of passengers from Sri Lanka until the 21st of June.
Army Commander General Shavendra Zilwa said the second dose of the Sinopharm vaccine will be administered from the 8th of June. He said the second dose will be administered at the same locations in which the first dose was administered at. Vaccination drives had been organized in 8 districts of the country today. The Sinopharm vaccine was administered at the Kettarama temple in Colombo today. Our correspondent said the vaccination process was conducted in an orderly manner. Residents of Colombo were successfully vaccinated in several areas today. The vaccination campaign of the Kandy district began yesterday. Today, the Sputnik vaccine was administered at the Kegol National School.
Will only the first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine be given?
A new term had been included in the consent form handed over to those receiving the Sputnik vaccine in the Kandy district. A rubber stamp on the form states, "I consent to only receive the first dose of the Sputnik vaccine." The first dose offers a lengthy period of immunity. The technical committee will advise on administering the second dose. According to what I know, it provides an immunity of around 6 months. I am not sure about that. It is not the people who should decide whether they want both or just one dose administered. Professionals who make the decision, especially the World Health Organization, should decide on it. Science cannot be altered to suit the needs of politicians. What is their intention behind administering one dose when it clearly requires 2? The Health Ministry should clarify the matter to the country. Even we are urged to question the epidemiology unit on it. The people should be notified on whether this seal has been placed with the knowledge of the epidemiology unit. As far as the Health Ministry is concerned, such a recommendation has not been given. The second dose is completely different to the first one. I do not have sufficient information on the matter now.
මාත්‍රාව ලබාගත යුතුයි. අපිට මේ මොහොතේ කොයි ආකාරයකටද මේ ඉදිරියේදී ලැබෙන තොරතුරු කියලා මේ මොහොතේ කියන්න බෑ. මේ සෞඛ්‍ය අමාත්‍යාංශය කියන්නේ මහා සාගරයක්. මේක හැමතැනම.
The Health Ministry is an ocean. Various decisions are made all over the ministry. I have to be given the relevant documents because I cannot comment on hearsay. However, the Gamaleya Institute in Russia, which manufactures the Sputnik vaccine, has only said that the interval between the first and second dose can be extended. According to a notice issued by the institute, the interval, which was previously 21 days, can be extended up to 3 months. Pursuant to an inquiry made by Newsfirst, the State Pharmaceuticals Corporation, which is the official local agent of the Sputnik vaccine, said it had entered into agreements with Russia to purchase both doses of the vaccine. Accordingly, 13 million in total of both doses has been contracted to be purchased.
Bellboy's got you covered. Download Bellboy today to get all your household appliance fixing and repairs done. Now available on Android and iOS.
531 COVID-19 cases were detected in the country today, raising the total tally of infections up to 184,983. Official figures indicate that the total number of recoveries stands at 151,740 after 1,915 recoveries were registered during the day. The Department of Government Information said that 36 COVID-19 deaths had been confirmed yesterday. 7 deaths had occurred yesterday, while the other deaths had occurred between the 2nd and the 29th of May. Meanwhile, the opposition leader Sajith Premadasa has said that priority should be given to monks and religious leaders in the country's vaccination drive. Issuing a statement, the opposition leader pointed out that 5 monks, including Venerable Baddegama Samitatero, who was the first Buddhist monk to enter parliament, had died due to COVID-19 in the country. Accordingly, the opposition leader called on the government to pay attention towards vaccinating Buddhist monks and other religious leaders as well. Still in local news, the Criminal Investigations Department recorded statements from the captain, chief engineer and second chief engineer of the Express Pearl container ship that caught fire recently. CID officers had been unable to record a statement from the captain of the vessel as he had not been in the possession of the relevant documents in order to provide a statement. The crew members, including the captain of the vessel, are currently undergoing quarantine at a private hotel in Vallavatha.
What is the current situation of the vessel?
It has been 10 days since a fire erupted on the Express Pearl vessel in Sri Lankan waters. The fire has not been brought under complete control so far. The Sri Lankan Navy and the Coast Guard are taking the relevant measures to douse the fire.
The salvage company is currently near the ship. We can determine the extent of the damage caused due to the fire, the amount of containers that had fallen overboard, and the number of remaining containers once they reach shore.
Were authorities aware of hazardous goods on the ship?
Professor Chandima Vijayagunawardena expressed the following views on this matter yesterday.
2 vessels containing hazardous material had been travelling in the Indian Ocean during this period. The Interpol had informed Pakistan about this. Bangladesh and India had also been apprised on this. That begs the question, wasn't Sri Lanka informed about this?
Port state control
In the case of Sri Lanka, it is the responsibility of port state control to ensure that vessels enter and leave Sri Lanka in a secure manner. There are port state controllers who shoulder the responsibilities. All main ports in the Indian Ocean region fall under their purview. Sri Lanka is part of an MOU concerning the Indian Ocean. India is also a signatory party. According to this memorandum of understanding, if a port cannot assist a vessel, then it is the responsibility of that port to notify the next port about it. Didn't we receive information up to this extent? Weren't these matters conveyed to us in advance? If that is the case, then we will have to ignore this memorandum of understanding.
Indian Ocean එකේ අවබෝධතා ගිවිසුම එහෙනම් අපි කුණුකුල්ලට දාන්න අවශ්‍ය වෙනවා.
The harbour master of the Colombo port expressed these views during a media briefing on the 28th of this month.
This particular leak was not a very dangerous situation because it was reported at that time, and little after a fire was reported, then it became dangerous. In the same condition, the ship has gone to Port Hamad as well as Port Azira and worked. The hold was not sealed due to some leakage. So whatever the CO2 which they sent in would have leaked out. That is why the fire in the hold was not extinguished. Actually, from outside with these fire trucks, we were able to direct the cooling water or the foam in a better situation, because if she was alongside, then we can attack only from one side.
Don't the remarks of the harbour master imply there was prior knowledge about the hazard on board the vessel?
What are the dangerous goods on board the vessel?
The Express Pearl Incident Information Centre website, set up by Singapore's MTI network, which represents the operators of the vessel, shows that the vessel had been carrying 1,486 containers at the time of the fire. This included 25 tons of nitric acid, 297 tons of heavy fuel oil and 81 dangerous goods containers. 9 classes of dangerous goods can be transported on a container vessel. Information that has come to light so far indicate that vessels had not been carrying radioactive material. Accordingly, this would mean that the vessel may have been transporting explosives, flammable products, corrosive material and even toxic products.
Caustic soda, sodium methoxide.
This vessel contains caustic soda, sodium methoxide and methanol. At the same time, it has been transporting nitric acid as well. We saw that they had used seawater to douse the flames. The usage of this water to douse the flames will increase the spread of the fire. Steps have been taken to douse the fire responsibly without any scientific knowledge based on the instructions of the government or the intervention of any authority. That resulted in these damages.
What are the views held by those responsible?
As far as we know, all materials on the ship had been destroyed in the fire. Although there are certain containers on the vessel, it seems that the goods have been destroyed. We don't know whether there are remaining items on the vessel. We feel that most of them have been destroyed by now. This was an unfortunate incident that was totally unexpected. We must face the problems as they arise. These are matters beyond our control. Fishing activities have not been disrupted. It has been shown scientifically that there is no danger in these areas. Even bigger fish will feel the impact in the change in the pH levels of the water. They will move towards other seas. Therefore, this can result in the reduction of marine resources. There are several types of fish that live in the high-density environments in the ocean. These include prawns and crabs. These creatures will be badly affected as a result of the debris that had fallen overboard the vessel. The fishermen have been badly affected. We have lost our livelihood since inclement weather that was experienced in our waters on the 13th before the fire erupted on the vessel on the 20th. The impact due to the incident has aggravated as a result of various remarks that are being made by officials. We don't know whether the water contains chemicals. Should tests be carried out into this, the government must conduct tests on this and then inform the people about this matter. Our ocean is our biggest resource. We benefit a great deal through this resource. Our children depend on this.
What steps can be taken at present?
We will file a case over this matter. Compensation will be obtained through this mechanism. Refrain from making such remarks when such an incident has occurred. If there is special data on this, then you can inform us about it. We can apply that while seeking compensation.
දේශීය සහ ජාත්‍යන්තර වශයෙන් ඉන්න පරිසරවේදීන් විද්‍යාඥයන් සියල්ලක්ම කියනවා ලංකාවේ මුහුදට වෙලා තියෙන හානිය.
Local and foreign environmentalists have pointed out the extent of the damage caused to the sea. Against such a backdrop, people like State Minister Godaheva say that this can be managed and compensation can be obtained. We would like to ask Minister Godaheva not to tell us everything is okay. Jump into the sea and have a sea bath. Show us. Have a sea bath in a place like Nigambo, Bambalapitiya or Vellavata. Then tell us how you feel.
පැත්තේ නැත්තම් බම්බලපිටිය වැල්ලවත්තේ ආයෙම නැත්නම් ගාල්ල මාතර පැත්තේ කොහේ හරි මුහුදු තීරයට ගිහලා සීබාත් එකක් කරලා පෙන්නලා අපිට ඇවිල්ලා කියන්නකෝ නෑ නෑ දැන් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ ඕගොල්ලොත් මුහුදට බහින්න කියලා. ඒ නිසා ගොඩ ඉඳලා අපිට උපදෙස් දෙන්න එපා ගොඩේව මහත්තයෝ.
මිලේච්ඡාකාරයට මේ ගිනිගත්ත නැව මංකොල්ලකමින් තියෙනවා.
They are profiting from the blazing ship. Certain owners of media institutions and people who own floating armories and others are benefiting from this. They have brought down teams from an overseas organization to handle the situation. They do not let the Navy enter the area. Those people are the ones who will decide how much compensation must be sought. There is a risk of this falling into the hands of those businessmen at the Presidential Secretariat. By doing so, a compensation of around 20 to 30 billion US dollars, which the country could have obtained, will fall into the pocket of businessmen.
බිලියන ඇමරිකානු ඩොලර් බිලියන 20කට යන්න තිබිච්ච අපේ රටට වන්දි වශයෙන් ගන්න තියෙන එක ඉතාමත් සොච්චම් මුදලට රටට දීලා තව 3-4 දිනකගේ සාක්කු වලට මේ නැවේ ඒ අයවිය යුතු මුළු රටට අයවිය යුතු මුදල වෙන විදියකට මගඩි ගහ ගන්න හොරකම් කරන්න ජාවාරමක් ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා මේ ගිනිගත් නැව මංකොල්ල කමින්.
Valuable properties and buildings in Colombo are now being vested with the Urban Development Authority. A gazette published by the President on the 19th of May showed that a 7-acre plot of land on which Milko, Sri Lanka is located has been vested with the Urban Development Authority. The land, which has been identified as Kirimandale Watta, has been acquired by the government under Section 2 of the Urban Development Projects Act No. 2 of 1980. The gazette issued by the President goes on to vest lands spanning 0.2 hectares with the UDA including portions of lands that house the teachers' quarters of DSN Anayaka College and the Sri Bauddha Lokaviharya. Meanwhile, several revelations had been made in the recent past on moves to hand over valuable properties in Colombo to investors through an entity named Selandiva Private Limited. Issuing a statement, the 43rd Brigade Political Movement questioned the motive behind establishing a new entity, while the Urban Development Authority has expertise on the refurbishment, protection and the leasing out of buildings. Based on a proposal that received cabinet approval recently, properties are to be handed over for investment projects through special purpose vehicles set up under Selandiva Private Limited. Some properties on which investment projects are to be carried out under Selandiva Private Limited include the Grand Oriental Hotel and York Building, Gaffur Building, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the Postal Department Head Office. The properties also include the Sino Restaurant along DR Vijayawardhana Mawata, the Mega Mixed Development Project of the Water's Edge Hotel, the International Coordination Center in Kankasanture in Jaffna, the Hilton Colombo and the Grand Hyatt. Accordingly, the 43rd Brigade has insisted that the legislation under which Selandiva Private Limited would operate must be taken into consideration. The statement questions whether the new entity will function as a specified business enterprise and also whether it would fall under the existing Companies Act or the Colombo Port City Economic Commission Act. The 43rd Brigade cautions that implementing these projects with the privileges granted to Port City projects will allow only foreign businessmen to engage in these activities.
The Navy and the police have launched an investigation into which some weapons had fallen into the sea after they were taken to the Panamanian Libra II vessel by a sea marshal service company in the seas of Gaul. The Libra II vessel had been transporting lubricants and other chemicals from Indonesia to the Suez port. A foreign captain, 3 officers attached to the Rakna Lanka security firm and 3 Navy officers had left the shores on the Gaul Energy crew boat on the 28th to reach the Libra II vessel with a stock of weapons and ammunition. According to a complaint filed with law enforcement units, the weapons and ammunition had fallen into the seas due to the inclement weather, heavy winds and strong waves while attempting to load them into the vessel using a crane. The incident had taken place 10 nautical miles from the Gaul harbour. 2 Navy boats had been dispatched to the location to search for the weapons after the incident had been reported to the Southern Naval Command. However, a large quantity of weapons and ammunition, including 14 semi-automatic firearms, 2,414 rounds of ammunition, 56 bullet cases, 6 binoculars, 29 body armors, 10 equipment boxes, 29 safety helmets, 6 first aid kits, 4 night vision binoculars, 21 chargers, 6 satellite phones, 14 weapon boxes and 3 ammunition boxes and 8 ammunition boxes could not be found. The Latvian captain of the vessel had reached the shores along with 3 Navy officers on the crew boat that had ferried the weapons in the sea. The skipper of the Gol Energy crew boat had filed a complaint with the police on the 29th of May following the incident. The Navy had taken steps to utilize equipment in order to search for weapons as the incident had taken place in the deep seas and could not be reached by divers who could only dive to a depth of about 60 meters. Vessels sailing across the Arabian Sea to the Red Sea to avoid Somali pirates obtained the assistance of Coast Guard officers.
Bellboy's got you covered. Download Bellboy today to get all your household appliance fixing and repairs done. Now available on Android and iOS.
Dr. Kenneth Zilwa has been appointed as the chairman of LankaClear, that serves as Sri Lanka's national payment network.
Central Bank Governor Professor W.D. Lakshman has appointed Dr. Kenneth Zilwa as the chairman of LankaClear for 3 years with effect from the 1st of June. Dr. Zilwa serves as a senior consultant at China Harbour Engineering Corporation that is currently spearheading the construction of the Colombo port city. LankaClear, which is Sri Lanka's national payment network, functions under the guidance and supervision of the central bank. It facilitates all domestic interbank payments, providing a vital service to the country's banking and financial sector and critical service to the country.
The central bank has hiked the percentage of exports proceeds required to be converted by exporters into Sri Lankan rupees.
Earlier, importers were required to convert 10% of their foreign currency proceeds into Sri Lankan rupees and to deposit them in a local bank. In a bid to reverse this move, the central bank had issued a gazette on the 28th of May, increasing this amount to 25%. But the gazette notes that the Monetary Board may identify export sectors that can convert less than 25% of their proceeds. However, this cannot be reduced below 10%. Central bank data showed that Sri Lanka's foreign currency reserves that stood at $6.7 billion in April last year had declined to about $4 billion the same month this year.
Still in local news, the indigenous community of Pullebadda is struggling in hunger as a result of being unable to find meals due to the travel restrictions that are in effect.
Around 300 families are currently residing in the indigenous community village near the Pullebadda River. Members of this indigenous community lament that their children are left in hunger as a result of this situation. They say that they have not received any form of relief since the travel restrictions were imposed in the country.
Our children are starving. We are unable to provide them with food. Most of the time we catch some fish from a river and consume it with salt. We don't even have spices. We are helpless and no one is there to support us or hear our pleas. Our kids are starving even at this point.
We are restricted from going to the forest or to any shop in the area. It is like we are living in a prison.
Locals say that they do not have sufficient money to purchase goods, although stores remain open in their area. The members of this indigenous community are requesting authorities to provide them with adequate meals.
We didn't receive even a drop of water until now. They gave 3 5,000 rupee handouts for some of the beneficiaries, but it costs around 1,500 rupees to buy some goods. My community comes to me pleading for food because I am their leader. What can I do here? If they are giving me a salary, I would have given them some sugar to drink a cup of tea. Some families have not eaten anything after dinner yesterday. Even I don't have anything to eat. How can I eat when my community is starving? If I do so, they will curse me.
Veteran film director and reputed businessman G.R. Padmaraj, who rendered a yeoman's service to Sri Lanka's film industry, breathed his last today. G.R. Padmaraj, who passed away at a hospital in India, was 69 years old at the time of his demise.
Gunaratnam Ravindranath Padmaraj, the son of prominent film producer K. Gunaratnam, was born in Colombo in 1951. An old boy of St. Thomas's College in Mount Lavinia, Padmaraj is a father of 3 children. He served as the managing director of Cinemas Limited, Cinema Entertainment Private Limited, and the KP Group during his career, in which he contributed immensely to the film industry. Following his father's footsteps, Padmaraj produced several Sinhalese films and also rendered his contribution to the Komali King's Tamil movie. As an importer and distributor of foreign films, the yeoman contribution of Padmaraj towards the film industry cannot be forgotten.
The Fox Hotel chain has been awarded 2 accolades for its impeccable service in the industry. Fox Candy and Fox Jaffna were awarded the TripAdvisor Traveller's Choice Awards for the year 2021.
The criteria considered in bestowing this accolade are based on guest reviews of the hotels. The award placed Fox Candy and Fox Jaffna in the top 10 hotels reviewed across the world. This is Fox Jaffna's second award and the first for Fox Candy.
This award is granted to the top 10 hotels of the world, and we are delighted that we have got this award, which is a huge motivational factor for the staff during these difficult times. We are extremely proud to be a part of the Capital Maharaja Group and win these awards on behalf of the group, because it's something that we had to change our plans, our strategies during these difficult times. We won the first set of awards when the business was back to normal, when things were back to normal, when the country was back to normal, and we had the mixture of the Sri Lankans and the foreigners coming down. However, this time we don't have the foreigners and we had to depend only on the Sri Lankans. And we've always had a separate choice, a separate menu, something separate for the Sri Lankans. We've never ever put them apart from the day we started. That is something that Fox Resorts will always be a part of. And that has paid dividends. With all that, to win these 2 awards is an absolutely great achievement. And we are thankful to be a part of the Maharaja Group on behalf of Fox Resorts.
Each generation of humans are by and large more advanced than the former. They find novel ways to navigate the circle of life, fearless of failure, while always striving to do better than their predecessors. We leave you tonight with a word of advice given to future generations, of a word by a man who disrupted the status quo and shattered the norms to achieve his ambitions, Barack Obama. For the Newsfirst, the voice of the people, I'm Martin Satyanesan. You have yourself a wonderful night.
The Epilogue.